Hello again, everyone. It's Frances here. Welcome to my Ruby Sixpence channel. It's good to have you here. Thanks for joining me. Okay, now this is going to make absolutely no sense at all, but I'll try anyway. I have made a series 1, 2, and 3 of how to make a book from a box. Now, the other three parts of the tutorials, how-tos, advice are on my Instagram. But this fourth one, I have put it on Instagram, but I thought I'd put it here on YouTube as well. Okay, this is the box that it started life. Okay, and it literally was a box. All I did was cut off the top, bottom and side, and it left me with quite a sturdy centre. Then what I did, so this is it, I decorated the front, sides, back and insides with some digital papers. And these particular papers for this series are from Nicola, the paper cameo. She has some wonderful designs, especially her latest one, a Christmas one called Sugar Plum. Please do go and have a look at her Etsy shop. You won't be disappointed. But that's what I've used for this. And how I did the binding, I kept it very simple because this I thought would be good for a beginner to try. There's no sewing involved because I know a lot of you hate sewing. I'm not ever so good at it, I must admit. So what I did, I made 2 holes here and here, and I put some eyelets in to reinforce them to keep it nice and strong, and then I threaded very simply was one piece of elastic through these holes to form 2 elasticated bits where the 2 signatures will actually slide in. Okay, so that's that. But what I wanted to address on this particular video is how I choose my papers. Now I'm just preparing papers for another journal that I'm in the process of doing. And I just thought I'd share it with you very, very briefly. So basically there's 4 elements when I'm choosing the papers for my journals. There are the digitals, and again, these are a mix of lots of people's digitals. There's the paper cameo, there's Evelyn Sage, I believe, there's Sam Poole, chapter 1, lots of different ones. So there's the digital element. Then there are the plain papers, so nothing written on them really. Grid paper, brown paper, tea-dyed paper, more grid paper, blotting paper. Then there's the printed book pages. That particular piece is from the really old book that I have, which is 250 years old, beautiful French book, rag paper. So I've included some of, or will include some of that. There are some school book pages, some lovely French pages from a French calendar agenda, some beautiful plate book page. This is music sheet, and this is a printed transfer from a book of transfers. Okay, so that's the 3rd element. And the 4th element are all vintage or antique papers. So ledgers, an expenditure, French expenditure pages. That is poetry from a French book. This paper, I think, yeah, was from my friend Angela, which I love. Beautiful handwriting. That's from a English school book, French school book. more 1954 ledger. So 4 elements, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that's for an upcoming journal. But going back to this journal, when I put the pages together, they're not always digital, printed, script, plain. I mix them up a bit. So this is the first signature, and very briefly, how I've made it a little bit interesting, I hope, is to make it cascade like a waterfall. So, or seeing different edges of the pages, different parts of the pages. Okay, so that's just a lovely little old foxed envelope, which I thought was nice, which I popped on there. That's a piece of ledger. Pretty against plain, always works. Pretty against plain. Here, it's a plain book page. I put a little tuck spot at the top and then put a pretty tag on it. Again, this is a book page which I've embossed here, stencil embossed. I put a bit of plain paper inside so that you can journal on it. Book page, plain for writing. Lovely old piece here. This is from the paper cameo. Just held on with a clip. It can be glued if you wish. But look how pretty the reverse side is. A little scrappy pad with just odd bits of paper in it. Again, just brilliant for just jotting down a note. And I tend to put a pocket like this on a book page. I wouldn't probably put an elaborate pocket on a piece of pretty digital paper because it would, it would fight against it. Whereas this is quite pretty against something quite plain. Here is a little tuck spot, just glued at the top. Plain transfer paper. Again, a book page, not colourful, so I just added a tiny little pocket here at the bottom in the corner which says herbarium, and then just added a couple of little tags, tickets, like that. Again, that is a book page. I would perhaps make a little pocket to go on the bottom. It's not very straight, but something like that. Cut a little tag out of it. Let me just straighten that up. I think this actual bit of paper is from Ruby and Pearl. So I would perhaps, on a piece of paper that's, I wouldn't say boring, but plain, I would then perhaps put a pocket at the bottom. Okay, so that you're getting something pretty on something plain. Okay, and then you could easily just put a tag or whatever in there, and it would just be glued at the sides and at the bottom. Okay. So there's lots of lovely journaling space in this one. Again, with this one here, because it is quite nice script, I would probably just put a pocket. See how nice it looks together. Again, you don't have to always glue things down. Just a paper clip and a tiny piece of fabric looks very, very pretty. Now that was quite a big piece of paper, so what I did, I folded it into 3, 1, 2, 3 pages. So there, and I just put a little pretty little picture inside. Again, this is plain enough. This is digital paper. This is plain enough that one could easily write on the top. Okay, sorry, you could probably hear my husband chuckling away, chatting in the background. At least he's happy. Okay, so there's your first signature. And I've left plenty of space in there for you to embellish more. So then pick up the elastic, pop it in like that. Very simple, so that you can add more pages or take pages out. Okay. There is another signature. A reasonably plain piece of digital paper here, but so beautiful, and I didn't want to sort of cover it up. If I'd put something like that, it would have been much too busy. So I just put a tiny little one of my quotes, sayings, affirmations at the bottom, glued it down, and then just popped a photograph of a chappie in it, and it just says, "He was the only one who could stop the sky from falling." Okay. Now that's plain enough that one would get away with a pretty pocket on it. This was a longish piece of paper, so all I did here, I folded it up and made one of these, my little scrappy pads. Everyone's making these. A lady called Donna from Twisted Paper Studio, I think I got this idea from her. And it's really just using up what's on your desk, little scrappy bits. I think she calls them twisted tangles or something like that. But, you know, it's a similar, she does a very similar sort of thing. And I got this idea from her. And I just reinforced around the hole with a little bit of fabric. This one, just a tiny little belly band. A belly band normally goes along horizontally or vertically down a page. I just put it across the corner, and it says, "Having a place to go is a home, and having someone to love is a family." And I just found this lovely old photograph of this family sitting outside their porch of their home, and so that seemed to work very well in there. Book page, French invoice. I think that was dated 1920 something. Transfer. Another belly band here, which I've just glued at the top. Just a tiny bit of glue, glued at the bottom, and then put a piece of faux tape on it. That's just a little transfer. Just a place to tuck things. I bought some beautiful fashion plates when I was in France, and this is quite old, and this is just one of them reproduced. Another one of the scrappy things. That is just a book page which I folded. I've got a tuck spot here and another one in front of it. There, so you've got two places. It's also holding that lovely old postcard. This is an envelope from Australia to Kent in England, and I just cut it open very carefully. It's quite fragile, but that by doing that, it just gives you more journaling space as well, and such a pretty blue colour. This is from a little Sunday prayer book. That goes in the centre, and this is just a corner pocket from the paper cameo again. I mean, it's far too big, but that's what it's for. Okay, then the other half of it, what I've done here, I've just put a few little things like this is an embossed piece of paper. I've not glued it down intentionally. I put a little note on the back, corner pocket perhaps, and I've just put a dotted line here and here to show you where to glue it, and then that would be like that. And that would be your pocket. Okay, so it's very interactive, this journal, for you to add and take away whatever you wish. This one is another little belly band for you to do. The paper clip is only there to hold it in place. And again, I've put, maybe use as a belly band, put glue just on the edges, like that. Or it even could be like that and use it as a tuck. This one a pocket, embossed paper, glue it on the bottom there. Okay, so just a few clues really, just to give you some inspiration, but lots of space for writing, adding your own thing. This is a top corner pocket. There we go, just a scrap of paper glued here and here, and that holds that nicely. Okay, so that's your second signature, which goes like this, finding the centre. And there's your second piece of elastic. Very carefully put that in there. And there you go. I will probably add some sort of clasp to this one before I offer it for sale, but it will be for sale, and it will come with a pouch which I have made, and in the pouch there's lots more inspiration for you to do your own thing. So there's some Victorian scraps, there's some lots of, well, there are half a dozen labels in there with quotes and affirmations on it. There's one of the little scrappy pads which you can see how I've made it and perhaps make your own. There's another tag for you to write on, and again a bit of fabric over the top of a pretty picture. Just inspiration pieces. And this one is a mix of sort of tissue paper and fabric, and that's a photograph, believe it or not, of my dad. Okay, another little scrappy pad just for you to see how they're made. This is an envelope which I have folded, made into an envelope but folded from a piece of music paper, and again undo it, see how I've made it, and then that's the front. It's very pretty. These are some bits from the paper cameo which was left over from the project. This is one of Nicola's beautiful envelopes which I have lined with brown paper, put in a book page. There we go, great for Valentine's Day. And more digitals, all left over from projects. Okay, I hope you like that. And as I say, this is the fourth in the series of how I made that little book. The other three parts are on my Instagram page. I have two Instagram pages, one Frances Tanner and the other one Ruby Sixpence Shop. I think they are on Ruby Sixpence Shop, but I hope you find them and enjoy them. Thanks very much for watching. See you soon, I hope. Bye.